not sure if any of you heard about Pelumi Nubi. And she's a young woman who traveled, just completed a 68-day solo journey all the way from London to Lagos across 17 countries by car. So she drove across 17 countries by car, including England, Spain, France, and finally Nigeria. When she arrived in Nigeria, she actually arrived in my university, my alma mater, and she was greeted by so many dignitaries, and they made her the ambassador for Lagos, and they gave her a car and they gave her a house just because of just being courageous, just because of our audacity, persistence, and perseverance to make such a journey. And she had accidents. She had to go into hospital. She had difficulties with visa. Just name it. You can imagine driving by yourself, a solo journey, a young woman, for over 68 days. So this whole desire to explore the world around us. It's a human need. A lot of people, they just stay in their little world where they were born, where they grew up, and they just stay in their world because of fear to venture out. But technology really is connecting everybody, and it's making people see all the beautiful things that are happening in other people's world and piquing people's curiosity. And so, Pelumi has shown us that it is possible. So today we're going to have Angeline. I never know how to pronounce her name. She will tell me. We are going to have her really talk about, tourism. This is her area of expertise. She's going to kind of whet our appetites, tell us about tourism, about her work in that industry, and really digital transformation and how it is opening up the doors for us to travel. I am Nigerian myself. I've lived outside my country for 32 years, but I'm still very much Nigerian. My children are always like, mommy is mommy, how do they say? Mommy is something like I'm not original Nigerian or something like that. So I'm always telling them I'm Nigerian. I may live in the States, but I'm Nigerian. There's a phrase they use, and I'm always correcting them that I'm Nigerian and I will always be Nigerian, although I live in the States. So let me tell you a bit about Angeline. Angeline, she's the founder and CEO of Wings Consultancy firm, and it's called Angel Wings Foundation Africa. Before I introduce her, I would appreciate it if our host, David Linton, can add her to the screen so that you people can see Angeline. Can you add her? Can you add her to the screen while I'm speaking? Just add the spotlight. You can add two people so she can. So
I'd
can
have to
you?
have her. I'd have to have her video on to be able to
Okay,
do that.
yeah, okay. She said that they are having problems with load shedding. Angeline, do you have enough bandwidth to just show your video briefly?
Yeah. I just so what I'm just going to do, my apologies to everybody. We have something called load shedding here. So our schedule is from 6 p.m. until just after 8. So if you could just give me a moment to set that up real quickly, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Miss
Okay,
Winifred.
okay. So we will give you a few minutes to set it up so that we can see you while we are introducing you. In the meantime, while she's setting it up, just want to welcome everybody again. If anybody wants to pop in to tell me what they're doing, where they're calling in from, and basically what they do, I would appreciate it. I used to be a pro in Zoom, but I've not used Zoom in a while. I'm now into Teams, and oh my goodness, so many things have changed. So they have all this fancy stuff. So that's good, good, good. Caleb, you tell me where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Caleb. I'm from Kenya,
Okay.
a city known as Kisumu. Kisumu is a 1 hour flight from Nairobi. And I work with a tech company. So I saw these online and I said, why not? Let me plug in and listen to the conversations going on. Sorry
So
for the
good.
background noise.
No worries. So good to have you here, Caleb. I have to come to Kenya one of these days. I have to. Witty, I need to go and represent Witty in Kenya. But anyway, I would love
You're
to
most
come to
welcome. Thank you.
Kenya. I know you people have great safaris too, and the travel industry is it's a lucrative industry in Kenya. I think it brings in a lot of income to your government. So welcome, welcome. I'm sure this is going to be a networking environment where you can add your own information. Angeline, okay, Angeline's video is on now.
Yes,
David,
my
can
video's
you
on.
add
I got
just
just to see everybody. Yeah. Just a little bit of light here.
okay, yes. David, can you just add us, then I will introduce her.
She
Thank
has
you.
been added. You got it.
Thank you, David.
Okay, so are you okay? Very good. So Angeline, welcome, Angeline. Thank you for accepting my invitation to speak.
Oh,
She's the founder
pleasure.
and she's the founder and CEO of Wings Consultancy, Angels Wings Foundation Africa. She's executive board member for the Hospitality Council. She's also an award-winning author. She's ambassador for Africa for African Women South Africa, and she's the immediate past president of JCI Quiz. So Angie has extensive experience managing and working with multiple organizations in the tourism and hospitality industries, as well as in social development. Angela is very passionate about service delivery, offering trainings in different African countries to enhance service standards. So Angie, it's good to have you here. I can see that you have problems with with your load shedding. So we are just going to just have to hear you speak, and just everybody go on gallery view. So because she can show her video, but please go on and just
Yeah.
share your presentation. I know you may, I don't know,
Yeah.
can you share the presentation or no? Or do you have a presentation or not?
Yes, I had a presentation, but obviously because of our load shedding, I'll just have to share with you. And I know
Okay,
this is being recorded, and I'm sharing from my heart. So
okay.
I'm hoping that we can connect in an authentic way that way, if that's okay, Miss Winifred.
Yes, absolutely. So your topic again is digital transformation in tourism, bridging
That is
gaps for
correct.
modern travelers and a thriving Africa. Okay, the mic is yours, Angie.
Thank you so much. And good evening, everybody. I'm seeing all the comments in the chat, and it's amazing what LinkedIn can do and how it can bring a Pan-African meeting already. I heard we've got somebody from Kenya. We've got Miss Winifred, who's originally from Nigeria, and I'm a Zimbabwean living in South Africa. So already that is a Pan-African meeting. So thank you so much, everybody. I wanted to first of all really thank Ms. Winifred, which is mission. Part of the mission is to empower women worldwide to achieve unimaginable possibilities and transformations through technology, leadership, and economic prosperity. So I would like to thank you, Ms. Winifred, for this opportunity. I always tell people about how we met. The reason is I think honor should be given where honor is due. And you have been such a great influence in my life. So that's a quick shout out to you, Miss Winifred. Thank you so much. We need women who see us. At the end of the day, we all want to be seen. So thank you for seeing me. I appreciate it. So, all right, let's dive into it. I decided today to share my personal journey with regards to tourism, and how it bridged technology for me. I always believe that if you share from your personal experiences, it's something that you've connected with, as opposed to putting together a whole lot of jargon with really long 10-syllable words. I decided just to share my story with you, and I hope it impacts somebody, and I hope somebody walks away not just encouraged, but also enlightened. So 13 years ago, almost 4 years into my hospitality career, I embarked on a Disney exchange program. The idea was to bring Africa to America. So in Orlando, Florida, they built what is known as the Animal Kingdom and Kidani Village. So they built the hotels, actually got the animals, the fauna and the flora, and they got a safari ride. The only thing that was missing was the people. So in a true Disney style, they recruited young hoteliers from Africa. And yet still something was missing. Now, a lot has changed in the last couple of years. So in a way, Disney was a good advertisement for Africa, because then what happened is that people wanted to have an authentic experience themselves. 14 years ago, I remember if you wanted to go on holiday, you had a holiday briefing, packages were sold to you, a video was uploaded by the company, right? And they made it seem almost as if, their way was the only way. Today, technology has shown us that we have a choice. We have things like smartphones, Facebook, and streaming videos, Instagram, TikTok. We can share live experiences with people and almost decide instantly if we want to go somewhere or not. Technology has also given us access to information, which gives us choices. And when we have choices, we have freedom. Technology has also done a lot to demystify any misconceptions there have been, particularly about Africa. A lot of people have since learned that Simba is not a dog. And, Simba is a dog and not a pet lion that we keep or can ride to school. And these are some of the actual questions that I got when I was at Disney, believe it or not, because I was under the education department. So our job was to educate. So during the day, we did child-focused activities. And during the night, we did more adult-focused activities, which were presentations. So in the afternoon, we do games with kids that came to Disneyland at the Animal Kingdom. And so before I left for Disney, I worked for Wilderness Safaris. And there was a tour which was called Overseas Adventure Travels. And it covered Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. Essentially, this was a tour for the baby boomers who had worked hard and had saved hard, and now they wanted to travel on a reasonable package. Imagine waiting your whole life before you can travel. And when you do, you have aches and pains, and traveling in a big group for 3 weeks is very challenging. And mind you, these are people that you've never met before, but suddenly you're lumped together and you have to travel together. And, maybe you don't even get along and all that. Different personalities, different needs. But it seems like this was the best that was offered at the time. Believe me, a lot has changed since then, just because of technology. Technology has now given us many traveling hacks. And we know that what safari companies or travel agencies offer is not the only way. We have access to influencers, and Ms. Winifred preempted what I was going to share. But most recently, we had a young lady by the name of Palumi Nubi, who completed a solo journey from the UK to Nigeria in her vehicle. This was unimaginable a few years ago, and we got to be on this journey with her at the borders. There's a time when she was at the border and she was having trouble trying to get in because her car was right, it was being driven on the right-hand side, and she had an accident as well. But we shared this journey with her. She drove across 17 countries, including England, Spain, France, and finally Nigeria. This is a testament that it can be done. And, obviously, me, I am for women empowerment. So I'm going to say, as women, we now have a point of reference. We can now say it's possible. I also wanted to share with you with regards to my personal experiences with traveling and how things have changed when I first started traveling up until today. So I'll confess that I'm one of those travelers that value the comfort that comes with mobile technology. Like, for me, that's of paramount importance. So from the beginning, because, we can now access anything online, like from anywhere. If you're sitting in the bank, and you decide you want to go on holiday, and while you're there, wherever you're sitting, it's become, technology has really given us a choice at any given time. So while planning my trips, I make most of my reservations online. I've been doing this for years, but most recently I found out that you actually have options of downloading free guides. So now, there's even a choice. Before, if you were, say, you're traveling to Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, this is just an example, the packages that were sold to you included a tour guide, like you had no choice. And now, basically, you don't have to be on a set program. You can download your guide, your city guide, and basically decide what you want to do. But what is also very clever about this, that I also recognize, is that this is an inbound tactic that motivates people to reserve using that web portal again in the future, right? But nevertheless, that is how, technology works with regards to algorithms. On the road, my cell phone is my best co-pilot. And now, as we know, we now have roaming, so you can use your phone anywhere in the world. And there's Uber, there's Google Maps, and there's the beloved Siri as well. And, even here in Africa, people have now adapted different, that suits, their area. So we have young innovators who are doing amazing things in the tourism industry to make sure that, tourists that are traveling to the country can access everything and anywhere at any time. So tourism technology has given us accessibility, which is of paramount importance. If I want to go to Kenya today, I can just look up and say, okay, what do I need once I get there to Kenya? Where can I go? And it's just easy. There's accessibility. Also, post-trip sharing as well. So normally when I come back from a trip, I always like to review hotels, restaurants, and activities that I've done, and I share with others. I don't know if you remember, and I suppose I'm telling my age, but I'm not that old. But before, you would have to take if you went on holiday when we were younger, you'd have to take your photos, go get them printed, and wait a little bit. But now it's almost instantaneously that you are able to do that. The travel industry is one where interaction with the consumer is becoming more critical, and the technological advances are letting corporations get closer and know the customers a bit better, which is also important. Earlier on in my career, I worked in the guest services industry, which was like a problem solution center. And, sometimes people would email us when they got back, would try and do surveys as much as possible. But we see now with technology, like there and then, you're almost emailed like the day before you check out, or 2 days even, you're emailed surveys where they want to know, how's your stay? How's everything going? Can we make it better? And this was actually not there in the past. People would travel and then 2 weeks later you get this nasty letter about how their stay was horrible. But now what that helps with is that there's people that can do something almost instantly. So we now have the tools. The question is, what are we going to do with them? I guess really, in conclusion, technology has made us realize that we are more alike than we are different. I'll give you an example. How many times have you watched a TikTok video and been like, oh yes, we have the same.
You just muted yourself, Angeline. Can you unmute, please? Okay, very
We
good.
have, yes.
Continue.
Sorry, Ms. Winifred.
Oh, continue. You're muted. You've unmuted yourself. You were muted for a few minutes. So continue.
Oh, okay. Probably that was the network. Sorry about that. What is the last thing that you heard?
The last thing we heard was that technology has made us realize that we are more alike than different, and that I've seen a video on TikTok and realized that you have the same thing where you are. That's the last thing I heard.
Yeah. I mean, it really has brought a lot of people together, and not just TikTok, really. I mean, even there's Facebook Live now. There's Instagram. There's so many platforms, and there's so many benefits as well in terms of I'm a Pan-African, so I'm gonna go there a little bit. There's so many benefits of traveling in Africa. Tourism generates multiple revenues as well. So from your tour guide to the mechanic maintaining the vehicles, from the waiters to the small business owner, supplying handcraft decor to local retailers, from the farmer growing vegetable to the school child who's not able to attend school. For developing countries and tourism industries, support raises awareness and promotes efforts. And so I think for me, that is, where I'm going to end. If anyone has any questions, there's a proverb in my language, and I'll say it in English. I've done my best to translate it. I'm sure Miss Winifred will understand this. I've done my best to translate it into English. And it says, once you get the dust of Africa on your feet, you can't shake it off. And so what it just means that, once you travel here, you want to come back, basically. Bottom line, you're going to come back. There's so much diversity here. Everything can be found here in Africa, even in terms of whatever it is that you're looking for. If you are looking for the pyramids in Egypt, if you're looking for a Serengeti, if you want to go to the Serengeti, if you want to see the Victoria Falls, we are so diverse. Even our cultures, our fauna, our flora is very, very diverse. But I can tell you the one thing I truly love about Africa is the spirit of Ubuntu. I heard my brother earlier on talking about how he's from Kenya, and I visit Kenya quite a lot. And I tell you, from the minute I get to the airport until the day I leave, I'm treated like a sister. And that means a lot. So if anybody's got any questions, I would like to end here.
Thank you so much, Angeline, for your time. Very, very insightful talk. I'm really, really impressed with you. Thank you. I want to tell you a bit of how I met Angeline. David, Witty Africa, Witty sent me to Tanzania to grow the Witty Africa business. And so I partnered with one of Pan-African Women Empowerment, what's the S? Pan-African Women Empowerment. I forgot what the S stands for. But Bi Hakula, who is a member of Witty Africa, she started this organization called PAWIS, Pan-African Women Empowerment Seminar or something. But it's called PAWIS. And they were doing an event in Tanzania, in Zanzibar. And David sent me there to talk about Witty and to talk about, just the amazing work Witty is doing in bringing people together to have these conversations that really is knowledge transfer and building this inclusive community where people can learn, people can network, they can collaborate together. And so far, before I came on, there was no Witty Africa, and my goal was to set up Witty Africa. So there am I. I'm not been to Africa in 30 years. Unfortunately, I've been so busy with just raising children, but I've been doing amazing work in Africa at the grassroots level. So this is my first time going back, but I'm not going to Nigeria, my home country. I'm going to Zanzibar. Wasn't sure what I will find, but I did go to Zanzibar, met amazing women, was able to support them in running the events that they were having. And so Angeline was one of the amazing women that I met. So thanks to David Litton for the opportunity to start Witty Africa and go to Zanzibar, Tanzania. And so this whole conversation that Angeline has shared with us is really been insightful because it's really challenging our narrative. I know growing up and people used to see Africa and in order to raise money, the way Africa was showcased was really the very poor. And yes, there's that is one reality of Africa, but that is what Chimamanda Adichie, who is a noted author, will say the power of a single story. That single story is not the only story about Africa. There's amazing things about Africa, our culture, which consists of our language, consists of our fashion, consists of our music, consists of our food, like Angelina said, across the many states, over 57 states of Africa. We are very different and we are very diverse. And being able to share that with a global community here is really what Witty Africa is all about. Because of technology, I am looking at going to Pakistan in September because my friend who went to high school with me, her daughter is getting married. And so technology has made me, opened up the door for me to think of even going to Pakistan and start to research and get ready for the trip. A whole group of us are going to Pakistan, and that is because technology enables. So Angeline has shared a few things. I have shared some insights from our talk on the chat. Does anybody have a question for Angeline before I start to ask her my questions? And it's good to have the newcomers. I know in South Africa there was load shedding, so you people have not been able to come in before now. But this is going to be on YouTube, or was it Facebook? David, which one is it? YouTube?
On YouTube, and I'll put the link in the chat again.
Yes, so that you people can go. It was a great conversation, especially because she started from a very personal place. That there's so much power in storytelling. Does anybody have a question for Angeline?
Yes, I do. This is Phyllis.
Yes, go for it, Phyllis.
Do you have any tours that allow you to meet with various universities or visit universities to look at the educational systems and or for writers? That's my question.
Okay, Miss Phyllis, I'm not sure where you are, so I don't know whether to say good evening or good afternoon or good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Okay, my mom always taught me that you should greet properly. So good morning, Miss Phyllis, to you. There are educational tours that can happen just depending on your interest. So it depends what it is. As you know, education is very broad. So you have to be kind of specific with what it is that you want to do. I'll give you an example. For instance, in Ghana, they had the Year of the Return, where people wanted to be educated on the history of the slave trade. And so that was education on that aspect, right? And then there's other universities across here who do exchange programs as well. So for instance, if people want to come here and learn and be part of a particular faculty and then exchange. In fact, what the Disney program I was talking about was an exchange program. That's what it was. So they took us there and able to educate us, not just about obviously getting experience from us, but also about America. So there are programs, many, many, many. The United Nations runs programs for women as well. The World Food Program runs. The African Union, the AU, runs programs as well. Ms. Winifred and I met through a program called Pawes in Zanzibar, she mentioned. That was also educational because we had people from different sectors. We had textile, we had ICT, we had all sorts, all the sectors you can think of were present at that conference in Zanzibar. But if you're looking at particular universities, embassies also offer exchange programs as well. We have the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program as well that happens. Barack Obama has got a program that also happens, an exchange program that happens. So yeah, there are many, many programs. I hope I've answered your question correctly.
Yes, I'm a member of Sister Cities International, and we just had a meeting I missed about student exchange programs. So I know we have a sister city in Dakar, Senegal, but I'm just gathering my own information. I know the group traveled to South Africa. So you did help to answer my question. I'll keep doing my research. Thank you.
Oh, pleasure.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that question. Phyllis, one of the things that we do in Witty Africa is that we share resources and share information. So let the chat be the playground for anybody here. I know that we've had a speaker, but this is we're in the knowledge economy, and this is a knowledge-based community. You may have some information about this topic. You may even be an expert in this topic. So you may not be speaking, but you have the chat to actually share information. So please feel free to use the chat to share information. I know David is keeping an eye on the chat to make sure that the information you share is aligns with the topic. But share information. Maybe a question comes up and you may have an answer. Please share it on the chat. So thank you for that, Phyllis. The powers we talked about, I can't still remember what the S stands for. But one of the goals of BHACULA who is a member, used to be a member of WITI. We have to get her back. But one of our goals is to bring people from women from all over the diaspora and Africa, to bring them into seminars or what she calls conferences 3 times a year. Is it 3 or 2 times a year? For there to be exchange of knowledge, but it has to be in person, because one of the things that you do is that networking can only go so far virtually. In-person networking, you can connect on a heart-to-heart level. So that's one way. There's education where you come in and you get educated about Africa, because you are meeting not only the people, you are eating the food, you are dancing to the music. So that's a form of education that is all about women empowerment. So I don't know if Angeline has any information about Powys, but I can reach out to you and share Powys, because if you do want to go to Africa, Powys is a good opportunity for you to travel, because it's very purposeful, and she brings in dignitaries. I'm telling you, she brings in big shots from African countries. And I mean, she was good bringing in the president of Tanzania for this particular meeting. And I know they just met in Egypt, and she has ambassadors and all these really big shots. So if you want to meet the power brokers and influence their thinking, Powys is a good opportunity. So I will definitely see if I can get some information about Powys and share it on the chat. Before I continue to talk, it's great to see Amanda Formal. I was wondering, Amanda, this is your baby exploring the world. Where on earth are you? So it's good to see you, Amanda. I know you were not part of the, you didn't dial in early enough to hear the amazing presentation that Angeline did. But do you have any question, Amanda, since you've seen so many countries? I know you've done work in Nigeria. Do you have any contribution, if maybe not a question, contribution about this topic that you would like to share with the community here?
Sure. Yeah, sorry, I had another meeting that conflicts, so I would love to listen, but I'm glad that you shared the link. So thank you. I'll definitely do that. I think, what you said about interacting with the local communities and eating the food and having local guides, I think that is what makes the travel to new places so powerful and wonderful, right? And, that for me, at least, that's a part of the exploration, is not necessarily going to the big tourist events, which can be nice as well. It's learning. And I think what you just were talking about, Phyllis, about the sister cities, I was already so excited. I already went and looked it up. I didn't even know about that organization, but I love that. And even right now, I'm driving around Massachusetts, and when I see the list of the sister cities, when you drive into a county, I think it's fascinating. So I think that is a great thing and a great opportunity, but exploring and becoming friends with local people so they can show you the tricks and tips around what you might not know, I think is wonderful.
Okay, excellent. I see Paul is even sharing something about the sister cities. So please use the chat, read the information in the chat, save it, because like I told you, this is knowledge. This is about transferring knowledge. So any information, I'll be saving the information for me. And I know that for me traveling, I've just moved to Pensacola, Florida, and already it has shifted my mindset that you can actually live very relaxed, go to work in the afternoon and go to the beach in the evening. And I've just been here for like a week, and already my mindset has shifted just by traveling. I'm like, you mean life can be this good? Oh my goodness. And I have been struggling with traffic. There's no traffic here. Everybody goes to work and they are so relaxed. And I'm like, my goodness. And that really is what traveling does. Traveling changes your mindset. Traveling makes you very tolerant. And like she said, because of all the digital tools that we have, we can actually travel safer than we did in the past. And we can actually get guides and get all set up even before we go to the country. So does anybody have a question for Angeline concerning the topic of digital transformation in tourism, bridging gaps for modern travelers and a thriving Africa?
Miss Winifred, I don't know if I can come in while people are thinking of their questions. Is that okay?
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's your show.
yeah. Oh, Shane Bless, thank you so much. I wanted to acknowledge someone on the call. We actually were at Disney together. She's dialed in from Belgium. Her name is Buinelo. And we were at Disney together. And when she saw this, she was like, I'm not going to miss it. She is originally from Botswana, but she is working at the consulate in Belgium. So thank you, Bui, for tuning in and being a part of this. She's a gentle soul, a quiet spirit, but we shared many experiences together. When we were at Disney, we had a good laugh. Sometimes we'd be like, okay, you know what? We are here to educate and not to get offended. And so, yeah, Florida is a very special place for Buinelo and myself. So thank you so much. I know you're a busy bee. Thank you for tuning in, Buinelo.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. Buinelo, just a minute. Do you want to share something about this topic, and just, anything that you feel from your experience that lines up with the topic? So please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be given the platform this evening. Just also to acknowledge my very long and sustainable friendship with Angie. I've known her for, I think, almost 13, 14 years now, and we connected over a cultural exchange program that we had at the Disney Animal Kingdom Lodge in Orlando, Florida. And through technology, if I can just bridge that, we were able to reconnect years later and continue where we left off. So both of us, we love traveling. We've been consultants. Now I work for the Foreign Ministry, which still allows me to travel for both official and unofficial trips. And I've networked, and technology helps helps me with reconnecting with women that share the same passions that I do. It is a platform for us to reach people all over the world. So just a little bit of that, because I missed half of the session. But thank you so much for giving me the platform, and I'm looking forward to more talks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Buinelo. When I was raising my children, I was a homeschool mom, and I told my children that when they get to a certain age, they had to travel out of the country, and they had to do it by themselves. Because when I was 16, my father, I grew up in Nigeria, and when I was 16, my father put me on the plane and zoomed me out and told me to go and live in London for a few months and discover that world. He felt traveling was part of education, that you cannot be fully educated as a human being unless you see the world at large and you develop tolerance. Because when people do not understand how other people think and understand that they are humans, fear comes in, and then you are not as tolerant of other people. So I told my children, they did it to me, I'm going to do it to you. And so my daughter took a year off to go to Spain. Unfortunately, it was cut short by COVID. And when she came back, she said, "Mommy, do you know that people can be happy without living in a big house? They can live in an apartment, they can ride a bike, and they are doctors, and they can be happy." That was new information to her. It caused such a mindset shift. Because in America, people live in big houses, they have like 4 or 5 cars, and depending on your neighborhood. So she had associated being a professional to having all these toys. And she went to this country. People were professionals, they were doctors, they were, important people, but they lived in an apartment in Zaragoza, Spain, and they rode bicycles to work. And that just helped her with, relaxation, because she was this uptight child that wanted the A's because America is so performance driven. And she saw a different way of living. And she has kind of forgotten some of it now. It's been 4 or 5 years, but that was good, and that's what traveling has done to me, because I've lived in so many countries and continents. Really, really caused a mindset shift. And I'm sure going to Pakistan, I've been to Indonesia. I'm hoping I can go to Pakistan and Singapore, and that will cause a transformation in my life too. So I would appreciate it if anybody has a question. In the meantime, while we're waiting for questions, waiting for you to process the information, please share your LinkedIn so that we can connect with you and continue the conversation. and continue to share with you all the amazing sessions we're going to have in Witty Africa. So please feel free to share your LinkedIn on our chat. If there are no questions, David, maybe we can spend a minute, the remaining time, to kind of break up into little communities and to get to know each other, little groups. So Angeline, thank you so much for your presentation. I don't think any questions are coming. So we're going to use the remaining opportunity to just break into little groups so that we can meet each other. Like I told you, this is all about networking, and knowledge sharing. So David, if you can set up some groups for us so that we can break into it, and maybe just share where you have traveled to that's caused a mindset shift for you.
Great
Thank you,
idea.
David.
Did have our first Witty Singapore event in a long time, a couple weeks ago. I don't know if
Oh,
you
you
caught that. So we'll have
No,
some people.
okay. I'm hoping to go to Singapore. And that's because somebody in Witty shared that she was going to Singapore. I've forgotten her name. She's a coach. And I thought to myself, if I go to Pakistan, I'm going to go to Singapore. So that's the power of Witty. That is the power of Witty. Information sharing, knowledge sharing.
Totally.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not. The sound has gone again. Tap to speak. Hello. Okay.
You were
Hello.
muted that whole time.